Finally, we are calling it a wrap right here on E! News. I'm going to see you next week on Friday.
Well, that's all we had for you here on Weekend Prime. I'm Ashley Mazuri. Our sign language interpreter is Marisha Witi. Now, earlier on, I had promised you of an interview with the former CS Cecily Kariuki. My colleague, Jessie Rogers, had a sit down with her, and she shared the intrigues of her resignation from cabinet to her gubernatorial bid and her withdrawal from that bid. So that's coming up next. So be sure to catch that. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Well, greetings. I'm Jessie Rogers. Today, I have the opportunity to have a sit-down, a one-on-one conversation with the former Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Cecily Kariuki. Earlier on this year, she decided to step down from her position at the Cabinet in order to pursue elective politics. Flash forward, in April 28th, she decided to pocket her ambitions to represent the people of Nyandarua County as their governor in favor of the incumbent Kimemia. We try and evaluate the thought process behind her stepping down. Yet a little bit earlier, she was intent and intentional on securing that particular position through a Jubilee party ticket. Apart from that, what next for the former Cabinet Secretary? Madam Cecily Kariuki, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Let's get straight to it, and perhaps that's what Kenyans want to know, and not just Kenyans, specifically the residents of Nyandarua. That particular decision that you came about on April 28th, after perhaps a couple of meetings, what informed your decision to step down, and what considerations were looked at, because, I mean, looking at the polls, you were one of the front runners in the governorship race of Nyandarua County.
Thank you very much. Allow me to take this opportunity to most sincerely thank you, the residents of Nyandarua, for embracing me, for believing in my vision, for coming out so that we've had consistent conversations for 2.5 months since I left cabinet on the 7th of February this year. I really want to thank you. For those of you who have reached out since I pronounced myself on the decision I took on the 28th of April, I ask for your pardon. I had to do what I had to do because leadership is about vision. Leadership is not about fighting for a position. And therefore, like I said, I suspended my journey, this time to be your governor, and I really want to thank you for believing in me. Fast forward, this is the moment of truth, that the truth has to be spoken.
Okay.
I did not at any one point sit to do what is called taking a consensus position with the incumbent, who was also waiting upon the party to either get or bag the ticket for governorship, much as I was waiting for the same.
Right.
So we really did not sit to negotiate. So I want that to be on record because, like I did indicate previously, Nyandarua will go down in history when history is written about what's happening in terms of democracy at this point in time. But I'm also happy to record the achievement that I did in addition to getting a lot of support, which was documented through opinion polls that were conducted frequently. I conducted my own polls, and I knew that the people of Nyandarua had me to be their next governor. And I must say it was a very, very tough decision, very, very personal. Looking at all the facts, never mind the pollsters were projecting me as a candidate of choice.
Indeed.
But, you know, it gets to a point that even the party gets to a near stalemate, really. I mean, could not move forward, could not move backwards. And the questions my family and I were asking as, you know, time was ticking, time was moving, was what was this ambition that you had to lead the people of Nyandarua as their governor? Was it a position? Was it a job you're looking for? Was it to serve the people of Nyandarua? How do you serve the people of Nyandarua if the party is at a point that they can't even make a sound decision, you know, between the two of us?
All right.
And I got to a point and I said, it was really for me about service. It was about getting out there, taking the expertise that I've acquired over time, over 30 years. I have been in government, a stint in the private sector, and therefore I was confident just as I am today, that I have what it takes to be the leader of choice in days to come.
Then it must have been a difficult decision, because you're painting quite a rosy picture, and through the opinion polls, you are a front runner. And you've mentioned that perhaps the party was pulled in different directions on who exactly to decide as the, the candidate for Nyandarua County. And I remember colleague mentioning, Sophia Wenuna, you had a conversation with her a little bit earlier, and you mentioned that at that point there was no way forward. And you mentioned that perhaps it's the decision of the party leader, in this case, President Uhuru Kenyatta, that will carry the day. So was President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision to go with Kimemia, because you mentioned there was no consensus, you didn't sit down with him, it was a personal decision. Was that the direction the party wanted to take, hence you stepping down, or you decided to step down, hence the party went with the incumbent?
Truth be told, and history informs decisions that you make. If the party had actually told me, we ain't going to give you the ticket because of X, Y, Z, you can be certain I was going to go ahead and be defiant. And, as a leader, you ask questions because finally the buck stops with you. The decision for me to go for the seat was personal before I consulted family who gave me support, before I consulted colleagues. Some believed that it was a good thing, some believed it wasn't a very good thing. I consulted clergy and friends, including, extended family. And the majority of them thought it was a good thing to do when I gave them the reasons that, had made me get to that place. And therefore, unwinding that decision became a very personal decision at the end of the day. And it's because a week before, there were allegations that the ticket had actually been given out to the incumbent. Now, that got me one evening at 9:30, actually, driving all the way to the party headquarters. And I had only one ask from the Secretary General, where is the ticket? The minute he confirmed the ticket had not been given out, I then had a bit of soul-searching to do and say, so how is it that Nyandarua, not one of the most complicated places, actually a very good place to be with very, very understanding people, it was difficult for a decision to be made. And the Secretary General then at that point indicated to me, given the magnitude and given the weight of the decision to be made, the matter was not being handled at the party leadership level. Indeed, it was the party leader, His Excellency the President, that would make the final call in terms of how the ticket was going to be, to whom the ticket was going to be given. And I took a reflection and I said, so how is it that both of us, over 2 weeks prior to that, were making it quite uncomfortable for everyone else, including myself and my family, because nobody could understand. How is it that you're not able to move back, not even backwards, not even forward? And I sat and said, so what is leadership about? Quickly reflected that it's also about sacrifice. It is the same mentality that I hold and I've held over time that made me to leave a cabinet office to be able to go to the people of Nyandarua to say, do you think I can make you a leader? I do believe I can make you a good leader because I have, spanned through major dockets in national government. And I have the expertise, I have the networks, I have the will, I have the energy, I have the zeal. I am transformational. I want to make a difference. That will also benefit me and my family. And therefore, the same way I made that sacrifice, I said, what if I do this again? What does it look like? A lot of explaining to do to my supporters, which I am doing over time. I've since been to the county a couple of times.
And how are they receiving it?
I must say they were extremely disappointed, really, because they were ready for a change. They were ready for transformation. They have seen me serve them and serve the national government in the docket that I've served. So they were pretty disappointed. Now, every time I sit with them and take them through how I arrived at that decision, they quickly come along and say, you live to fight another time. And this also gives them some more appetite for me as a leader, because they say, if you can make another very major sacrifice, only 2.5 months after you have made a big, life-threatening, sacrifice, maybe you're the kind of leader that you really want. Now, I've had conversations around, oh, you are compelled upon, there was pressure heaped, far from the truth. Very personal decision.
Okay.
Very close consultation with my immediate family. Like I said, where it all started is where it ended.
But if the fire was to represent the people, servant leadership and whatnot, why not go through till the last stage, whether it's an independent candidate or not? I know the windows are closed right now.
Yeah.
Why didn't you pursue that particular option?
Apparently, when I made the decision, the window was still open. But I'm one person who believes, if I believe to move in a certain direction,
okay,
it'll be very difficult for me to turn back. I have overinvested in Jubilee as a party because, known to a lot of you, the time I left cabinet, I said I'm going to be vying on Jubilee. Is a party that I've served under in the current government, is a party that I've invested in the duration that I was away, is a party that I still believe is right for Nyandarua and the region. It is a party that is going to galvanize the people around a mountain. Like all the other regions, you'll find a predominant party.
Okay.
Jubilee is going to be that one. So I would not perhaps be able to serve the people in the manner that I envisage I will if I walked away from this party, which I believe is one that stands for peace and unity within the region, let alone to say it is a party that I have seen deliver, because I have served under the the administration of Jubilee for the time that I've been in cabinet.
And it's pretty obvious to most Kenyans, especially the Nyandarua County residents, of how enthusiastic perhaps you are of the party. Because needless to say, when Jubilee was perceived to be on its deathbed, you're quite adamant, and rumors have it that perhaps you painted the county red, pushing the Jubilee agenda right there. So all things said and done, are you in any way disappointed with how the party itself handled its party primaries? Because in one way or the other, one might look at party primaries, going to the people and letting them decide who will represent them through the Jubilee ticket is a different option. But we saw consensus, perhaps as you've mentioned, high-level delegation decisions that perhaps might have cut out not just you, but other individuals. As we've seen, there's some who feel aggrieved.
Well, I'm aware that, the MCA level, the MPs level, the Senate levels across, not just in Nyandarua.
Yeah.
The negotiated democracy did work for Jubilee. And I say this in comparison with what happened in the other predominant party called UDA. Because whereas they went into primaries through nomination, the fallout and the complaints were a lot more. And therefore here, where 2 or 3 of you come together and say, we've been conducting pollsters, we have opinions that are coming from the leadership at the grassroots level, and this is how we are all looking. And you're given a chance to actually say, you know what, Jesse looks like actually he may be the one to deliver this seat on the Jubilee ticket, and therefore we get out. We may support him, if the party so wishes. And therefore, I would think there was a measure of success in that process.
Okay.
And obviously, like in every situation, there are winners and losers. You choose to see whether you've lost, or like in my case, I say I did not step down. I actually stepped above. I stepped above the county through the sacrifice that I made. But I think it's always good to say leadership is not being adamant in one position at one point in time. Leadership requires for you to be versatile, for you to be flexible, for you to not remain in one spot complaining. I mean, move on. There are other things that you can engage in to serve the very people.
Fair
and
enough.
That's how I look at the case of Nyandarua.
And I think it might lead to the next question. From your point of view as a leader in this country, what's your take of negotiated democracy? Is it real democracy? Because there are those who argue at the end of the day, you might be taking away that will from the people and giving it to individuals who have the willpower, the money, the finances, and all that to make a decision on behalf of the people, and they might be serving their own interests.
I do think it has its place.
Yeah.
It has its place, particularly when you are in a fragile situation where disunity, disharmony, is the order of space. So it has its place.
But where's the space of women on that table?
I see women. I see women, they're women.
Okay.
It's just that from a leadership point, if you look at the place of women, whether it is in the economic or social spaces, or even in the political spaces, I think women tend to be more rational in the sense of the way you argue things out. And I ended up being that myself, because recall in my tenure as a minister responsible for gender, I was involved a lot in, you know, bringing peace and order in spaces where somebody would have thought, actually, you know, it's difficult. Because when you allow your ego, you know, to take away rationality, a woman stepping in will be able to actually infuse more rationality. A lot of women will walk away from spaces which look very untidy, look very disorderly, look very disorganized, and they will bring their reasoning in places where perhaps even fist fighting is the order of space. This is just how women are. Okay. You know, and therefore, moving forward, I'm still very hopeful that we'll be able to see a lot more women saying, you know what, yes, it looks untidy, but a movement that is going to support women, to support more women to be able to be in spaces. And it's not just women supporting women. In countries where women have won, and they are in their numbers, whether it's in the economic, in the political, social spaces, we have seen champion through the male colleagues or male leaders stepping up and saying, wait a minute, there's something unique or special that women bring into the decision-making table. And it's proven, it's documented. It's documented.
Fair enough. Yeah. Now, since you stepped above, as you mentioned, what next for Cecily Kariuki? You're no longer vying for the gubernatorial seat in Nyandarua. That's definitely clear. And you made it equally clear that you will not be campaigning for the one who clinched the Jubilee party ticket, the incumbent Kimemia. Where does this leave the Jubilee ticket, especially since you've praised the party and you've mentioned that you've invested so much time and resources into it? Why not campaign for this individual?
And emotions into it, actually.
As well.
A lot of family resources and family time. There's a lot that is around the corner for me, first and foremost. And it's just taking a step back and saying, you know, I've not been on vacation for the longest period, ever since I'm in the public space.
Are you sure? So, no sour grapes?
No.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I am so at peace. I am so at peace. I'm happy with myself.
You're content. Okay.
I'm happy with myself. And so is my family, and that matters most. My supporters, we keep talking, really. Like I said, I've been back and forth, giving direction. Yeah. Some of it verbal, some of it non-verbal. But family time first. I run a family foundation. I have several children in school. I do other livelihood support interventions in 5 counties. So that's also taking a bit of time because I'm trying to, again, reorganize that framework and see how much more do I engage with community and the people that I support. That's the second one. The third one is also getting back into, once a politician always win, you know? So I'm getting into the space of organizing myself to be able to support the presidential candidate of under Azimio coalition, His Excellency Right Honorable Odinga. And that is the next space in terms of then my political space. In terms of Jubilee, the party, you know that Jubilee is one of the parties under Azimio framework. So indirectly, I'm actually still working for Jubilee. I will have occasion to work directly for Jubilee, for the candidates who require a hand, for the candidates who think I'm able to support them. And Jubilee is beyond Nyandarua. I mean, it's a countrywide party, as it were. Okay. So you'll find me in different corners, just trying to particularly support the women.
Different corners, including Nyandarua.
The young people, absolutely, yes. Okay. Absolutely, including Nyandarua.
Who knows, you might be the silver bullet that, you know, the incumbent needs to boost his popularity as well.
I wouldn't discuss whether he needs it or he doesn't. For certain, at this point in time, I don't think he needs it. You know, if he did, then we perhaps would have had a conversation. We've not had one such conversation.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm just very clear. If I'm called to support the candidates, I will. If they think I can bring value, I will.
All right.
Yes.
Well said. Anyway, since we're talking about Mount Kenya generally and the Jubilee Party, I think you can even guess my next question. We're talking about a region, the home ground, if I can use that word, of the current president, Uhuru Kenyatta. But in recent past, we've seen his popularity sort of dwindle especially in the Mount Kenya region. You've mentioned opinion polls. According to those opinion polls, they show that perhaps this UDA party has definitely penetrated the bedroom of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the party leader of Jubilee, a party in which you support. As much as Jubilee is trying to reclaim lost ground, if I can put it that way, well, what do you think was the genesis of the paradigm shift from support unanimously of President Uhuru Kenyatta, that right now we're seeing permutations in which the deputy president through his UDA party are gaining ground?
You know, Jesse, you got to make choices in life. President Uhuru made a choice not to politic at the expense of working for Kenyans. And that is why every corner of this country, you will find a project, a program, an intervention that's been initiated, implemented, or executed by the Jubilee government. Now, you got to choose whether that is the space you belong to, or you belong to the space of politicking. And like has been quoted severally, whether you want to actually do your politicking through propaganda on the rooftops of cars. Because the two can go together. You got to choose. I'm very proud of the achievements that President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration has brought to Kenyans. Name the electricity coverage, never seen before. Name the road network, never seen before. Name the issues of water and availability, potable water, never seen before. Look at the phenomenal introduction of the CBC.
All right.
You know, amidst a lot of pushback, never seen before. Look at the transition from class 8 to Form 1, 100%, never seen in Africa, at least south of the Sahara. It's happened in Kenya under President Uhuru Kenyatta's watch. I think that if we want to politicize everything and begin to campaign as soon as we have gotten into the second term of President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, then we do so. But in the process, we end up confusing people, using propaganda, but Kenyans are a bit more intelligent because they are able to see. And the minute the conversations begin being told at the same level, the two parties speaking, then we'll be able to see Kenyans actually reason and say, yes, it is true. One wing was busy politicking, while the other one was busy at work, and there is evidence. And obviously, there has been a bit of success because of propaganda. There has been a bit of what is viewed as very temporary success of penetration because, unlike other regions, the very leaders who voted or are voted together with the president from Mount Kenya are the very leaders who are being used, you know, to confuse the people who put them to office.
All right.
But, you know, it's a matter of time. I think the conversation is going to be told. And some of us are actually very happy to tell the conversation because we know we've been part of the implementation teams. We've been part of the planning teams. We've been part, now that we are out in the field, of also telling people, you've been cheated. And the facts are 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're able to come along. I have serious evidence out of Nyandarua. That's sitting with people and speaking to them for this brief duration that I have been on the ground consistently. It is changing like that. And that is why we are no longer where we were before I went to the ground.
But you know what they say, at the end of the day, kizuri kinajiuza, kibaya chajitokeza. I don't want to throw shade on the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta, but if the benefits that you're touting were truly felt at the mashinani level, especially perhaps in his backyard of Mount Kenya region, then the reception of what you call as propaganda would definitely be shot down due to the benefits, if it's of devolution, if it's of the national government and whatnot. Does the work of President Uhuru Kenyatta really speak for itself, that it'll counter the propaganda, as you've mentioned, of the opposite side?
Jesse, from where you sit, I mean, it wasn't my day to interview you.
Yeah.
Do you have any doubt that the Jubilee government has not delivered from where you sit?
I will not answer that question, of course. But
because I'm not supposed to interview you.
Of course.
All right?
Yeah.
The road networks, I mean, you'd have to pretend you haven't seen it. Like I mentioned, the foundation of the socio-economic takeoff for this country, never seen before. Now, I don't think that that's a place where we want to argue. Facts. are there for everybody to see if they choose to. But if you choose to be blind and do politicking and not even politics, then sorry. But I think Kenyans are a bit more intelligent. It's a matter of time. Recall again, the president and his troops have not even gotten out.
All right.
To demonstrate and give the evidence that you speak about. And therefore, the minute that becomes an everyday occurrence, it will change like that. Believe you me, it will change.
So is that perhaps an indication that we will indeed see President Uhuru Kenyatta, as he mentioned, take Raila Odinga personally to the Mount Kenya region? Is this a plan that is in the offing?
It would be wrong for me to pretend that I know that.
Okay.
You know, then given
right.
again where I have been,
Okay.
yes?
Yeah.
But I would want to encourage that happens. And as to whether he will do it together with the former Prime Minister, or whether he'll do it because he owes to his people to be able to say, you know, I've been busy doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and here it is, you can see. I think it will be a great idea. He still has, you know, a couple of months in office.
Okay. Your leader in your capacity, and it would be improper to end this interview without asking your take on the current debacle. I think we have 3 days to the deadline IBC set in the naming of the all-important running mate. And we've definitely had the clamor from the mountain in either coalitions. The one you belong in, Azimio, of course, fronting a couple of names. We understand that some of the candidates might include Martha Karua, Peter Kenneth, and I'm sure you're not new to this. What is your take on the running mate debate? Does Mount Kenya deserve that running mate position, especially in the Azimio side? And what will it deliver? Because we're facing facts right now that perhaps due to the campaigning continuous by the opposite camp, that they might be ahead in Mount Kenya. What's your observation on that?
Well, without speculating names or no names, we still have until Monday midnight. That's
Fair,
a long time in politics, a long time.
True.
You know, so I believe that the best choice is what will be picked by Azimio. But coming back to think whether the mountain deserves, from where I see it, I would say yes. And I would say yes loudly because politics is a game of numbers. And if you look at the 6 million plus, you know, voters from the region, it's only fair and reasonable that a running mate, you know, is named from the region. And I say this because also, if you look at the fact that you know, there isn't any presidential candidate at this point in time that is from the region, then I think it's only fair, you know, for purposes of not just harmony, but equity, that a running mate is named from, you know, the region.
I thought you'd take this opportunity to clamor for a woman for that particular position. Will that be an added advantage from where you sit?
It's always a good idea. Like I said, any decision that is made and 2 genders represented is the more holistic and more realistic and rational decision. So from where I sit, yes. And it looks a little bit obvious. That is why, again, I don't talk about this. It looked like it would be the right thing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam, for your time and your input right here. We definitely appreciate. And all the best as you undertake the tedious campaigning period. You know what they say, politics is a dirty game. And once you move into elective politics, I'm pretty sure you saw the brunt of the dirty game. Did you?
Oh, yes. I mean, yes, it is. It is not your usual, you know, formal, well-structured, reasonable spaces. It's a place you make yourself literally dirty. You know, walk through the matope, walk through the muddy spaces. You know, you got to reach every corner of the village. It's not always very comfortable. So it's not just, you know, it's literally dirty place. But you know what? We shouldn't complain about politics if they go wrong, if you have the capacity, the ability, the knowledge, the energy, and perhaps the resources, and you're not offering yourself to do it. So dirty as it is viewed, some of us must get out there and make ourselves dirty. That is how countries will move forward. That is how this country will progress. But if we sit in the comfort of our offices and our homes and wait for them to do it, we are guilty of a sin of omission. So you better commit, get yourself dirty and get it done.
Interesting. Well, your public service record speaks for itself. We're hoping Cecily Kariuki, the politician, will definitely be as, successful as the public servant.
Thank you.
Asante sana for your time, madam.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and that marks the end of today's one-on-one conversation with Cecily Kariuki, definitely looking into the future and looking into the crystal ball in terms of her thoughts about the current political discourse in the country. Remember, with only 87 days to go to the general election, it's bound to get heated. I'm Jesse Rogers. Thanks for watching.